Hey everybody, Barry at CTech-review. Today, I want to talk about the upcoming launch on 6/8 for the new Ram 1500. What's going to come? What's the speculation? Everybody's talking about it, but is it exactly what we want? Time will tell. Let's get into this. Okay, so when I say, is it what we want? I think Stellantis and Ram have been hearing people complain. They're upset that the Hemi went away and they've got the Hurricane. Some people like the Hurricane. I'm a fan of the Hurricane. But is it what everybody wants? And is it really what you want? I want to kind of show you a few things just to kind of look at the different specs. And before we do that, though, I kind of want to talk about some of the speculation on the internet. Okay, so what's going on? New CEOs promising big changes for the Chrysler brand, Ram brand, Jeep brand. They want to bring this thing back to what it was 10, 12 years ago, where the hype was high, the quality was high, the value was high. Everybody was hot on Ram, Jeep, Dodge products. They want to get there again. We've seen a lot of people talking about the issues with the EVs. They're not really digging them. They're super expensive. People want their Hemi. People want their muscle. And so there's a lot of speculation on what's going to happen this upcoming Sunday, but we all kind of got a good feeling what's going to happen. Hemi's coming back. Maybe TRX is coming back. But is it truly what we want? Maybe. Our friend over Tim at Pickup Trucks Plus Talk, he talks about the TRX coming back. A great article. Definitely check out his site. You can kind of dive into this. But I'm going to tell you why. And I've talked about this in other videos. I've done fuel economy comparisons of the 3-liter versus the Hurricane and the 3-liter Hurricane versus the Hemi. I like the Hemi because I like the sound of the engine. It's been around a long time. It's fairly easy to work on for the most part, but it doesn't come without its issues. Number one, you want to do routine maintenance in the future. It got 16 spark plugs versus 8. Not a big deal, but it's twice the amount of effort as a standard V8 that only uses 8 spark plugs. But Hurricane's only got 6 spark plugs, and they're not too hard to change out. They're a lot like the EcoBoost. But I want to talk about the specs. When we look at the standard output Hurricane engine, it's 420 horsepower, 469 pound-feet of torque. When we look at the 5.7 Hemi, you drop down 25 horsepower and you drop down about 50 pound-feet of torque less. But it's more to the story than that. If you look at the peak torque of where your Hemi is going to make its power, it's going to typically be, I want to say, around 4,500, 5,000 RPM range. So if you want to make your high peak RPM torque at the high RPMs, no problem, it'll do it. But it's going to do it at a higher RPM. I personally like the more diesel-like type of boosted engines like the Hurricanes and like the EcoBoost because I tow a lot. And when I'm towing, I towed long distance and I really get kind of tired of hearing a V8 revving at 3,500 RPMs all the time. These things can make, 469 pound-feet of torque, 2,500, 3,000 RPMs. That's like a diesel. We're talking 1,500 to 2,000 RPMs lower. So you're able to get on the power quicker and at a lower RPM. And even though it's only 25 horsepower more and 50 pound-feet of torque more, if you look at 0 to 60s comparing a 2024 Ram 1500 to a 2025 Ram 1500, the new Hurricane's substantially quicker, 0 to 60, quarter mile and all that. But I know what you're going to say. I don't really care about 0 to 60. I like the sound of the V8. I totally respect that. And this is why I'd love to see Ram offer both options to people. But then someone could say, well, I've watched your video, Barry, on fuel economy comparing the Hemi versus the Hurricane in real life driving. Man, they're really, really close in fuel economy. And if we look over on fueleconomy.gov, you can go over on this website and you can do comparisons of all different sorts of vehicles. That's accurate. If we look at the Hurricane right here, 2025 Ram 1500 with the 3-liter 6-cylinder turbo with 8-speed versus a 2024. So basically the same truck, just a model year removed. Look at the average fuel economy, identical. So day to day, when we look at this, it's going to be the same. Where do you pick up? Well, actually in the city, oddly enough, the Hemi with the e-torque gets you about 1 mile per gallon better than the Hurricane. But where the Hurricane picks up, is on the highway fuel economy. And what's interesting to me is I, in real life, did not see it this way. I actually saw the Hurricane do better in the city and rural driving, where once I got on the highway, I thought that's kind of where the Hemi shined for fuel economy. But regardless, they're pretty similar. But I thought this was interesting. If we look at the standard output Hurricane versus the 5.7, the 5.7 requires a mid-grade fuel. This is a big deal. If all these fuel economy numbers and the performance numbers are all based with the EPA at a mid-grade 89 octane fuel. When you calculate your cost over 5 years, you're going to spend, according to the EPA testing, $2,250 more in fuel versus the Hurricane. So when you think about that, if you put 100,000 miles on these things, you're going to have a $2,200 deficit in fuel if it meets these same standards. Part of that is because the Hurricane standard output does not require an 89 octane. You can do 87 octane. But there's more to the story. I look at fueleconomy.gov as one aspect. Let's go over to Fuely. If you're not familiar with Fuely, this is a really good website. And this is a great site because this is for enthusiasts that you can go look up any vehicle and people publish their fuel economy. But I purposely went through and selected the data for 2025 Ram 1500, the inline 6-cylinder. Then I went and did the exact same thing for a 2024 Ram 1500. And then I selected the V8 gas engine. Now, here's what's fun about this. If we go over this for 2025, there's been 6 vehicles post their data on 173 fuel ups with 54,000 miles. Once again, this is specific to the Hurricane engine. When we look at this, there's an average fuel economy of 18.18 miles per gallon with a 0.48 mile per gallon margin of error. So if you're doing your calculation and you're saying, man, I'm in a Hemi today, I want to go to a Hurricane, you should be checking out these websites and doing your own research for yourself. Talk to people that have them, but also look up this website. Okay, so we're at 18.18 fuel economy on the 25. Now let's see where the 24 is at. So here's the 2024. This is based on 13 vehicles. 287 fill-ups, it's 71,000 miles. This is with the V8 and an average fuel economy of 14.76 miles per gallon with a 0.48 mile per gallon margin of error. So the good thing is, if I compare margin of error to both trucks, they're identical as far as in that regard. But if we look at this bar chart right here and we look at the amount of fill-ups, you can see 14.76 miles per gallon versus 18.18. Dude, that's a big difference. And that's in favor of the Hurricane. So if what we're seeing plays out, there's a big improvement, even more so than what's on EPA.com. You can see 18 miles per gallon, 14.7 miles per gallon. That's a big improvement. And you can really see some of these fill-ups down in the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 miles per gallon range. I don't even see one below 11 miles per gallon. So, do I think the Hemi is the answer? I don't personally, but what I do think could be awesome on this whole thing is what I'm really hoping is that Ram actually provides both engine options. And most importantly, what do people really want right now in America? Affordability and reliability. That's truly the most important things. What keeps me on the road, not broken down, and what puts the most money in my pocket. And if Ram can bring a lower cost truck to the market, I personally think that's going to be more important than what engine is under the hood, what's more affordable for people. And this has been a big issue, not just in 2025, but we've been seeing this for 15 years. Vehicle prices have been creeping up, everything. I'm a big fan of this Hurricane. You guys have seen the 8,000 miles we put on our RHO. I think this motor is smooth. I've not had one powertrain hiccup. We've towed a lot with it. We've used it off-road quite a bit. I love it. And if I had the option of a high output Hurricane or a 5.7 Hemi, it wouldn't even be a question. I'm going to stick with a high output Hurricane. Now, if they go 6.4 Hemi versus a high output, that would be an interesting option. I would probably still steer towards the high output Hurricane because it's going to have a lot more power and it's going to get you better fuel economy. And I don't mind the 6.4, but I've had a few friends with them and they've had some power lifter issues and camshaft valve train issues. So it kind of spooks me a little bit, but hey, maybe they'll make some improvements on that. Do I think we're going to see a whole new engine variant offered to the Ram 1500 lineup? I really don't. I think we might see a higher horsepower TRX variant, but I think the 5.7 is going to probably be the exact same engine as the 24 with the e-torque system, maybe a 6.4 variant. What I would really love to see, I'd like to see Ram offer a 6.4 or 392 Ram 1500 crew cab, all-wheel drive, maybe lower down an inch or two with a little sportier suspension. I think that'd be more usable, get you better fuel economy than an RHO. It'd be a really sick truck, and I think people would really like that. So I'd be curious to get your guys' thoughts. What do you think's going to happen? Leave your comments down below. By the way, we're going to be going live on Sunday to talk about this, and just kind of, I think it'll be kind of a fun live video for everybody to kind of jump in, and we'll kind of all go through this big announcement Ram's got coming. Hey guys, I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, feel free to give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.